Big year for WTC last year. There was lots of different things going on. In your mind, this has been one of the biggest years that WTC's had in recent years, I should say. How did you see it?
We had a very busy and eventful year, and it turned out to be a very good year. But a lot happened, and a lot of it was good. A lot of it was the evolution of our company from being something that was smaller and fragmented to something that's more integrated. But by and large, I was pretty happy with the year we had, and I'm looking forward to 2013.
Is it hard though? Like, everyone looks at the M dot, is the Eagle Empire, and there's always going to be knockers in any industry. Is it hard for WTC as a group to overcome that?
No, not really, because I think our athletes don't feel that way, and I think that's demonstrated by the fact that we have unprecedented popularity for our races. We treat our athletes exceptionally well. We deliver life-changing athlete experiences, and I think most people rightly are able to distinguish between the company and the races. And so, people love the races that we put on, and that's what our athletes really care about. And that's what we're focused on delivering every day.
If when you are setting up for the races and you are taking a look at new venues and things, what are the challenges that face the WTC? And let's regionalise this, I guess, for our audience in Asia Pacific. What do you see are the challenges for setting up new races?
Well, organizing an event like this event here in Auckland, or a full distance Ironman event, is a really hard process. They're complicated. There's a lot of moving parts. It requires an exceptional level of cooperation from local authorities. We have tremendous, we have road closures. We've got to deal with waterways, and organizing events and finding new venues in particular is not easy. And despite the economic benefit that it brings to communities, we ask for communities to close roads for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours, and that has impact. And it's always a process of being able to navigate and negotiate and get all the yeses you need to get in any community before you can successfully host an event.
The last couple of seasons, Asia itself, not just Australia. Australia's picked up a number of Ironmans. Asia tends to has fallen off the radar. Where's that headed, and what do you see where do you see the growth for that region?
Well, I think that we've always had challenges in Asia, and part of the challenges that we've had is, as a global company and as a company that has an expectation from our athletes that we're going to deliver first-rate events, we've struggled. We've struggled in China, we've struggled in Japan, we've struggled in Korea. And ultimately, for us to be able to move forward with, and I'm speaking specifically of full-distance races right now, for us to be able to deliver the promise, it's a really high standard. And frankly, I don't think we've been good enough. And part of the reason that I pulled us out of Korea and pulled us out of China was I wasn't convinced that we had the ability to deliver the kind of experience that our athletes expect. And it's important because our athletes are global, and athletes travel around the world to go to Ironman races. And so if an athlete in Europe or in Latin America or North America is looking at a race in Asia, they have an expectation of what that race is going to deliver, of what the athlete experience is, what the course is, what the volunteers, registration, on-course experience. And if we can't adequately control that, we're doing ourselves a disservice. And I would rather that we take it slow and get it right than expand willy-nilly with a bunch of races that ultimately are going to blow up in our face. Because having the right athlete experience is everything. That is the power of our brand. It is what Ironman means to athletes around the world, and we have to get it right. And I'd rather us be slow than hurry.
When Michael Phelps was winning gold medals, nobody questioned once if the pull was accurate length. In Ironman, unfortunately, when we're seeing these sorts of great performances, and I can remember recently a couple of really good big bike efforts that saw low times, the first question that everybody asks is the course legal? Is the course of the right length? Is there anything in the WTC's plans to actually verify officially that what we're seeing on the road is of official distance?
I've never had that really articulated or heard that as an issue. In this day and age, so many people have GPS devices on their bikes, so many people run with GPS devices that if we were systematically short, we'd know it. And we don't really hear that. We hear and we see super fast times on days where there's super good conditions. And so a course like Melbourne, where conditions last year were perfect, cool, no wind, tailwind on the run. I don't know how often that happens, but certainly my Australian colleagues seem to think not that often. and that's part of what delivered superb times. And from a pro level with Crowe and Cameron and Carol and Stefan delivering superb times, but also from an age group perspective. I think that if you look at really fast courses like Klagenfurt, it wasn't fast last year because it was hot. In courses where there's wind, they tend to be slower. But I don't, and really am not aware of there being any organized or disorganized sense that our courses are short. Certainly not our courses.
Okay. The 5150 project, how's that coming along? Is that where you think it needs to be, or is it in a period of growth, or where do you see it in the next, say, 5 years?
I think in parts of the world, there's going to be an important role for 5150s. I think as in areas where triathlon is in the process of developing shorter distance races as a springboard to long distance triathlon is something that makes a lot of sense. It's not core to us. Our business is long course triathlon, 70.3s and full distance Ironman races. And I think that will continue to be our primary focus. But in a market like the Philippines, where we've had success with a 5150, we're likely going to have a second 5150 in 2013, leading up to a 70.3. That program has been enormously instrumental and successful in developing Filipino athletes and developing the business and the market for triathlon in the Philippines. And we think that is a template and a model that has merit going forward.
Okay.
Sorry, Andrew. One of the criticisms that we hear a lot in Asia Pacific, and I understand because at the moment you've got a supply of Kona slots that need to be allocated to this area, and you've only got 5 Ironmans to allocate them to. So some have been distributed to 70.3 races like this one. Mm-hmm. Now the criticism we often hear, and I'd like to gauge your response, is this a carrot? Is this simply these Kona slots here in Auckland? Is this a carrot to sell this race out?
I mean, historically, for 20 years, there have been Kona slots associated with 70.3s, or before there was 70.3 for half-distance Ironman races, all around the world. I think it's important for us, and this is an evolution, it's important for us to distinguish championship events from non-championship events, whether that be a 70.3 or a continental championship. So Melbourne has more Kona slots than Busselton or Cairns or Taupo or Port Macquarie. And I think that's appropriate. Whether we regularly put Kona slots against our continental championships at 70.3 is something we're looking at. We have them here in Auckland. We have them in Wiesbaden this year. We don't have them in St. George, Utah. And we may change that. But part of what we want is we want to be finding ways to make championship 70.3s and championship fulls, for that matter, more important, and make them more competitive from a pro perspective, make them more competitive from an age group perspective. So we're looking, we're evaluating, and I think it's possible that we may end up permanently having Kona slots in championship events at 70.3. The larger question is handling demand for Kona, which is an enormous area of focus and debate not only within the community, but within our company. We're growing faster than Kona. We have more races, we have more athletes, we have faster athletes. It's harder to get to Kona. And Kona is becoming, it's how we get the right people to that race it's not a trivial problem for us. It's the kind of problem you like to have, but nonetheless, seeing established races, like Ironman New Zealand, which over time have had fewer and fewer Kona slots, isn't something we like. But we have 30 full distance races around the world now, and all of them have Kona slots. We've got, I think, 6 70.3s this year that have Kona slots as well. So you've got to spread those 1,950 slots. You take out lottery, you take out legacy, and you've got 1,800 slots that you're trying to spread across 36 races. It's hard to make the arithmetic work.
It's definitely hard. No, I understand that. I just find it interesting that so let's take Port Macquarie for example. Yeah. I'm that 26th guy that's missed out on a slot to Kona. I'm the guy that's one spot away in my category, but there's a guy that's got one here at Port Macquarie for finishing a half. Now, if I'm that guy, I'm suitably quite angry and annoyed.
Well, I could make the argument that the guy who gets the slot at the 70.3 was a stud, and which isn't to say the guy who finished 26th at Port Macquarie wasn't, but the performance standard here to qualify is going to be really high. It's going to be high at a 70.3. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's not like someone's going to be able to walk in. I'm not going to get it in my age group, and so it's a different type of competition. And look, we have to find a balance. And one of the advantages that we have is, as a big company, we run 61 70.3s, 30 plus full distance races. We have the luxury to be able to innovate and try things, and we're going to be doing more of that. I don't think that we should be, when it comes to Kona, when it comes to championship races, when it comes to new territories, that we should have a single point of view about anything. We should be innovating and finding out what our athletes care about, figuring out new ways to deliver value to our athletes, and just continuously trying new things, because that's ultimately, in the long run, how we're going to get better. And not everything's going to work. And that's the cost of innovation sometimes.